Hello, it's so exciting to see you. Amy LaMeyer's here, and joining us is An- Andy Fidel, and Dulce Baerga is joining us as well.
Nice to
I'm
see you,
Oaige
Paige.
Dansinger, and this is the AI and Creative Community Panel.
Great to be here.
Yeah, it's just great to be here. Thank you to Women in the Future um, and all of you for being inspiring speakers and joining together today. We are discussing AI in the creative community. I would love to start with perhaps some introductions. And then I have some questions to share amongst our our members on our panel today. Amy LaMeyer, will you give us an introduction?
Sure.
Thank you.
Like I said, great to be here and nice to see you, Paige. Just remembering back to when we first met in Minnesota those many years ago. I'm currently in California. I'm managing partner of WXR Fund. We invest in AR, VR, AI companies that have at least one female founder. Our portfolio is of 14 companies, and that's across all different industries and verticals. And that is also how I met Andy Fidel, because we've worked together now for several years in that capacity. So I'll turn it over to Andy.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Paige. Hi, Amy. It's awesome always being here. My name is Andy Fidel. I am a creative XR producer and particularly specialize in creating social experiences, but using whatever technology out there to create a creative experience. So really excited to talk about AI and how it's just kind of like, I don't know, kind of just stormed into our lives and using it every day already. So.
You both inspire me in so many different ways. Every creator. Sorry, one moment I see Dulce is calling in. I want to support her at the same time as lead our discussion. But perhaps we could start with why don't I share a question to Amy, and then I will touch base with Dulce as you can share a question. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm gonna actually start with Andy. I'd like to, there was some discussion in the comments about dispelling isolation and feelings of overwhelming powerlessness. Could you share a little bit about how AI used in the creative community can aid towards that?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually have the complete opposite feeling and inspiration. A lot of times I find that the white page, the blank page can be quite daunting. We don't know where to start. And so I find that AI is such a great tool and companion to bounce ideas back. I'm creating worlds much faster. I don't really have to quite think about the details, and I do appreciate art. And at one point, when something is something that I'm happy about and I feel inspired about, then I'll go and push it down the production line. But I'm able to start things on my own and just generate textures and just see how it feels in VR. And that's how we created Polygon Desert, that ended up actually being an experimental beta space, but something that we were actually happy with. We don't want to make it better, or so it's something that has allowed all of us to play and to really come up with things that we would never have imagined. Like sometimes just putting different words and blending things has come up with some new ideas. So on the contrary, feeling solitary, I feel like it's more about understanding the technology, but also understanding and putting value in what we're putting. When people are signing, oh, made by Midjourney or made by ChatGPT, I'm like, no, it's both of you. If you want to credit the tool, fine, but like you would never have gotten that, like that. There is that human specialness still in AI.
Yeah, just to add to that, I totally agree. It's a transformative time where clearly there will be some jobs. A lot of people are worried about the changing in the job market, And jobs will change, just like they changed when the internet grew. But it also opens up so many opportunities, and I'm particularly excited about it for the creative community, just enabling that creation. But I also look forward to a little bit of ability to be more aware of giving credit where credit is due, not necessarily to the tools, but maybe to artists that are being inspired through the tools. You know what I mean, Andy? Hey, Paige.
Yes. So in the idea that AI could empower not just the creator, but a whole potential movement of creators, in what ways do you think, and this is open to both of you, in what ways can we really see that through the practice of social AI can create a movement towards solving some of our world's larger issues, such as climate, social justice, or well-being? Oh, I'm happy that Dulce is joining us too.
Hi, guys.
Oh, this is wonderful. Let's stop for a moment and welcome Dulce. Dulce, you know Andy Fidel and Amy LaMeyer. This is Dulce Baerga, and we're really happy that we're all together to discuss AI in the creative community. We started our discussion with the pondering of AI's role in dissolving and dispelling isolation and feelings of overwhelming powerlessness. And I want to, before we talk about the potential for creators to solve larger issues, I'd love for you to have the opportunity to weigh in on the idea of dispelling isolation, feelings of overwhelming powerlessness, if that is in fact creating empowered people.
Through AI, using AI to dispel loneliness.
Yes.
Well, I mean, thinking like a futurist, I do see that AI will eventually become a companion to people. This is something that I was talking about at the AI on the Lot summit that they just had recently, and talking to somebody about how in the future it'll just naturally progress, just such as like stem blood saving when or the cord blood saving when your child is born. This will be the same kind of thing. You just instantly add a digital twin agent to your child that is predisposed to understand its environment and everything around it, very much like Baymax from Big Hero 6. And it's got like a chaperone nanny aspect to it, but it also is a friend, and it's growing with the child, and it is learning with the child, and it is engaging and becoming a proxy. And at certain points in its life, it'll go off and it'll represent that person. And, you know, you can have a multitude of yourself running around doing different things at different events and such, and collecting all this data and information and networking and such and outreach, but it always represents you. And then at the end of life, it becomes like a historical document ends at your end of life, but then it becomes this like ancestral person that you could reach out to for generations in the future to get to know and to understand. So I think that's just how I think we're going to solve a lot of like our loneliness moving forward, is by applying more tools and utility around person and how we engage with ourselves even, and with the world around us, you know. So yeah.
Thank you. Thanks so much. We've heard some great ways that we can dispel loneliness. And one of my favorite uses and experiences of all of the technologies that we use, metaverse, AI, to Web3, all of it, you know, it makes me, the kernel of it is kind of that connection with each other, right? And the potential for making a better world is a potential. How can we see And I'm just going to put this out to all three of you, can answer whoever is inclined, but how can we see that some creators are using AI right now in ways, if anyone knows any examples that they can share, where we see some of the creators solving some larger issues such as climate, social injustice, or well-being?
I mean, I can give the example of the hackathon project that I worked on at MIT that we won with Snapdragon Spaces. We were using AI to assist people in visualizing their tiny home. And then as they run through, so the idea was that we were going to help the homeless through outreach at like libraries or different homeless outreach centers, and we actually were calling it the Unhoused. And in that, they would go into these centers and they would be able to visualize through the holographic display, the Leia, as like a kiosk for this virtual space or this community that would be built around tiny homes. And then they would use AI to visualize the feature sets that they would want on their home, and it would build out a floor plan for them and place it in a virtual space. And as they go through the program to go through the steps to earn this home, the home is then building in the virtual through AI, through initiatives, through sentiment, through all kinds of things that the person expresses through therapy or through work program or whatever it may be. And the earning wasn't necessarily monetized or driven through money. It was driven through just self-improvement and healing yourself and making yourself a better person so that you're more able to enter a community and value the community and value the abundance that you start creating for yourself through this community, so you're not squandering it and wasting it, and just giving self-respect and self-esteem. So that's another way that we were using AI or thinking of AI to help society.
That's great. Yeah, a friend of mine works for the UN, and part of what the massive data set she's working on, using artificial intelligence to take data about the climate and project where will the climate change across the globe and what areas might need to start reacting to that now so that their economy isn't as impacted in 5-10 years as the climate changes. So like looking ahead into the future to better plan to sustain society based on climate changes that are anticipated, which I think is a great project.
Yeah. That sounds amazing.
Definitely.
These are two great examples. Thank you.
Prediction models and mitigation models, I think, are probably one of the coolest things that you could use AI for. Just to lay out different types of understandings of a space, and then predict what might happen. Yeah. Or, figure out solutions around how to fix it. Yeah.
Yes. Now, I'm going to direct this question to Andy. Andy, you and social VR are like equal names, right? When I think of Andy Fidel, I think of social VR, and I'm wondering how in some different social VR platforms, how we might see AI begin to be integrated in the platform features and or opportunities that users or creators may be able to explore through social VR platforms or XR.
We're starting to see it. I think it's just, again, this wonderful tool that people are latching on and experimenting with. I really like it for networking, like the engagement bit. Like there was this one piece in Mozilla Hubs by Brandon that I saw that people were just generating content and visuals as they're talking and filling the space. I'm also seeing NPCs, a lot of opportunity there to explore, like concierge, like we could have someone navigate us through the world, create a little bit more storytelling. a lot of our spaces, unfortunately, sometimes are empty. There's so many virtual worlds. We could use characters in this space to keep, just have that one or two or small group experience feel a lot more dynamic in this space. And I'm also seeing an opportunity for real-time translation. Like I can't wait for like ChatGPT to really kind of open up that like the app and integration and finding ways to make our experiences a lot more personal, a lot more dynamic, something that might evolve. Actually, I just went to a space, it's a physical one, but it could be put into VR. It was at Moment Factory. They have this miroir miroir, and we're putting in words, and it's coming up with phrases. And so I'm seeing myself in it, but I'm also seeing the people around me. And so that's something I'd love to see, is just our worlds be a little unique, but also encourage people to be, you know, a reoccurring world. Like we can go back into a space. It's not just this one thing that you experience, but the more we go into it, the more we can participate in its evolution. So a lot of different applications. I think right now what's fun, just like the beginning of VR and the metaverse, is that it's new and we're breaking boundaries, we're trying things. And at the end of the day, it gets us talking, it gets us collaborating and networking with other creators and other thought leaders and thinkers. So all of that for me is just a lot of positive collaborative work.
Can I jump on a little bit of that? So Second Life just opened up their bot system to ChatGPT. So for a long time now, many years, I would say about 5 or 6 years, Second Life has been moving with like clicky groups. But if you're new, you're going to run into simulators that are just filled with bots, and that's all they are. And they're just, or avatars that are logged in and they're saying that they're away from keyboard. And it's kind of feels soulless and empty. So they're now opening it up to these ChatGPT models, and there are now test simulators that are actually engaging. The bots are actually talking, engaging, and doing exactly what you were saying about like recording the conversation and keeping that persistent conversation happening, so that there is some sort of storytell that's happening and there's some personal engagement going on, versus just walking into an empty or a simulator that seemingly has a bunch of people on it, but they're all just away from keyboard or bots and they're not really engaging at all, you know? So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's interesting how that's working out.
Mm-hmm. All of these emerging technologies are opportunities for creators to really push some of these new boundaries together and form startups. I'm going to direct this question to Amy. What types of companies are we seeing in the startup space, as well as how funding rounds are going these days for creative AI?
Yeah, I mean, it's inspiring to see people not only create content, but also come up with unique new business ideas. So definitely from the platform level of creating alternatives to ChatGPT that maybe have more referencing to them, or are faster at creating an answer, or have more real-time data, you know, platform-based, but also seeing companies that existed before, maybe even in some of those other emerging technologies, XR, AR, incorporating ChatGPT or generative AI into their offering to make it more than what it was before. One of my favorites is a company that we invested in called Empathic, who's using AI in order to, in real time, suggest alternative comments. And this is used in sales applications, in customer service, in management. But imagine, you know, being able to put a comment in Slack and get some feedback on how do you say it in a more useful way. So almost Grammarly, but for empathy. So I think that that's really exciting, both for real-time humans, but also for bots, like we were talking about. I think it could make artificial intelligence beings, virtual humans, more human-like. So that's a real fun one.
That is a real fun one. And it was actually like, should I ask this question or should I ask that question? My other question, alternative, was, what kind of ways are we going to see AI increase empathy, right? And especially storytelling and focused around diverse narratives and people traditionally throughout the globe whose stories are finding new pathways to emergence.
Yeah, and just to add to what Andy was saying earlier, I think the being able to translate so that we can really get the sense of people's true voices, I think that's going to help the communication as well. But I'll let everybody else jump in.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm having this like philosophical conversation around avatar and identity with a group of women because we're going to be speaking about it at AWE. And one thing that I've been noticing around what's going on both in the virtual space and in real life is that people's storytelling and their want to tell their story has become increasingly more like an imperative right now in our society. People's voices need to be heard, and they're choosing all types of mechanisms to tell their story and choosing all kinds of personas to do that with. And I think that's pretty interesting. It reminds me of the dream of I forgot who it was, but I don't remember his name, but he was an old school VR guy. And he was saying, I want to one day be in the hospital or in the doctor's office and see in the waiting room and see people like how I want to see them and decorate the space the way I want to see them. If I want to, make it a time machine and dial it back and have everybody dressed like they're in the 50s, I want to be able to do something like that. And that was back in like 2015. When I heard this, and that was a very mind-blowing idea. And I was literally at a party on Saturday night where they had a setup from a company called Devant. And this is a system where you stand in front of a camera and it changes you in real time next to you. So it's like split screen. There's the real you, and then there's the AI prompted you, and it's just happening in real time. And I'm looking at this and I'm saying, this is where this is heading. And we're using AI to enable these visions of mixed reality that are, very heady at the time back in 2015, but now it's real life. It's happening right now. We're able to apply these systems in ways that are innovative, that will enable other systems like XR to become more of a reality for people and to actually be something fun and engaging that will deepen story for them and will make something as mundane as waiting in the doctor's office a fun experience where they, make a memory and they had something interesting happen to them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And a sense of agency while they're there.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. That's so important, a sense of agency. And sometimes we look to our like young selves as what we would tell each other. What would we tell ourselves? And now I'm going to kind of women of the futurify that idea and ask you. First, I'll ask Amy. Amy, what would your future AI self share here today about how AI impacted women investors in the year 3023?
Wow. I would hope that it'll give us a new platform and a new computing paradigm that would allow for more engagement and encouraged engagement of women in all parts of investing, whether that be at a limited partner level or a venture at the venture level or angel investing or being invested in. I'd just like to see, I would hope by the year 3023, yeah, that we, that it becomes more accepted that we're seeing folks not only from different genders, but diversity across the board.
Absolutely. And may it not take 1,000 years, for sure. I don't know why I chose that. I chose that year pretty arbitrarily. So doesn't, within the scope of the future. Now ask because who knows of humanity, right? But I want to see a whole power paradigm and gaps closed too, and AI can help do that. So okay, so I'm going to ask Andy, similar question, but what would your future AI self share here today about how AI impacted women, uh, social events, and coordinators of human experiences in all different platforms? Oh, in 2053. There.
It's a different year every
That's
time.
30 years to serve more digestible.
Honestly, I hope it reminds us, it teaches us what it is to be human and to have a deeper appreciation of ourselves and others and what we're doing. I feel like every time we have new technology, it raises questions and concerns about so many things. But at the same time, these are similar reoccurring questions and concerns. But it's almost like we have these moments, we rally together, and then it kind of falls short, and then something else comes in, and then we bring the conversation back. And so I really hope that, like, a lot of the issues that we had with the internet, that we had with the metaverse, and now we're having with AI, again, is bringing these conversations back, feeling energized, feeling, because creativity and politics, like, it all goes together. It's all just energy of us coming together and reuniting and having these conversations. And so at the end of the day, I just hope that it just reminds us of what's important, what to protect, and what to keep. I don't want to say fighting for, but keep the conversation open, keep pushing forward to have something that's equitable for everyone. So a lot of conversations here that we kind of stopped because we kind of accepted how the internet was and our status. And so now we get a new chance again to make things better.
Beautiful, beautiful. Dulce, I'm going to now kind of like switch this question a little bit. So what would your near future AI self tell your younger self today about how AI is going to impact you?
Oh, I would have known that, like, how AI would have taken off right now. Yeah. No, I was interested in AI back in the 90s. So, like, I've been aware of this happening for a while now, and I'm excited by it. And honestly, I think what I would like to impart on anybody is the understanding that AI is not here to take away our lives and take away our jobs and take away things that we love or things that we like to do, or to threaten the pedigree or the skill sets that you've taken many, many years to cultivate. It's not stealing that from you. In fact, all it's doing is enhancing that. And it's now giving you an opportunity to learn new language sets and to create new language sets for yourself. And I think that's the most important aspect of what's happening with AI right now. And we also got to remember that these systems that the AI is based on are based on computer systems that were based on ones and zeros. It's an array system, it's a query, it's an input, it's bringing you back something you're asking for. It's not necessarily reasoning to a high degree. It may simulate reason, it may feel like it's reasoning, but in the reality, it is not, because we are quantum beings and those machines are based on ones and zeros, black and white, and we are not black and white beings. So with that said, we are moving forward into a quantum world, and we are going to be learning how to speak in new languages and yield things in new ways and manifest things in new ways. So, that's the exciting thing. So don't be scared, just embrace it and understand that these are just like the internet was a new tool set, and it flattened publishing for people and magazines. And then YouTube came around and that flattened broadcast, and then social media came around and that flattened celebrity. This is just another way to flatten out the control systems and flatten out who can make things and who can manifest and bring things into the world and create. So, yeah.
Well said. Okay, I think we just have a couple minutes left, and so I'm going to leave it like this. Hey, share with us something you're working on. How are you using AI right now for some of your creative projects? And anyone can share their thought.
I'm using it for film and with avatars. So,
Well, tell us a little bit about that. I would like to hear about how AI is being used for art and in film production pipelines.
Well, there's a tool called Wonder Studios by Wonder Dynamics, and they allow you to rig your own 3D avatar and bring it into their system, and then it will dance on any kind of video that you put up there, or like act on any video. So my son, he makes music, so I'm making a music video with him. We're actually going to go shoot some footage of him on a green screen this afternoon, and and I have his avatar, and we're gonna so that's one way.
That's exciting. And Andy, what are you working on right now?
I'm making NPCs. I love the idea of having a world be more dynamic, have more storytelling, but also empower the fact that sometimes we don't want to go out with a huge group. So how can I make it easier for people to discover? Also, onboarding and support. I find that at the beginning in VR, it's quite complicated. We don't know how to move. Like, can I have an NPC kind of analyze your behavior in the world? Like, can we pick up on someone needing support? Maybe have that companion always have, where are the controls? How do you jump? But more in the onboarding and a little bit of the storytelling and discovery, like it kind of being your sidekick, so you don't feel so bad when you're in the space.
Incredible. Yes, that's so important to have empathetic NPCs that are have a sense of, well, okay, so what do you think about NPCs having their own autonomy as well as intelligence? How do you vision an allowance or space for that?
No, I don't want to give it agency. Zeros and ones.
Okay,
This
all right.
issue,
Okay.
do this. Because then it opens up, like, that could be a trippy experience, right? Like, I'm not there yet. I think that would be like more like the exploration, maybe like an icebreaker, like the creative bit. But for the onboarding, it would definitely be something that's a little bit like, it should be reassuring, right? It should be like that something that you can expect what the answer is. But I would love an experience where, like, I don't know what this AI is going to give me or tell me, or but not for a newbie.
Right. Well, that's thoughtful, and right now is a lot of experimentation and risk. I'll ask Amy, what's too risky right now in the eyes of investors or people who are helping to support creators? And what does too risky maybe even mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple different factors, and some of them are similar to emerging technologies as a whole, and some of them specific to AI. But I think, anything that's touching any sort of personal data, biometric data in particular, I think is not too risky. I think it's a very interesting space to be in, but it needs to be handled cautiously and with awareness. So I think there's that. And then just in general, from an investment perspective, I think what we're seeing right now is making sure that whatever the technology is used for, it's actually solving a problem, right? And not for technology's sake. That's no different than before, but maybe even more relevant in this down market where we're seeing investors being a little bit more cautious about their investments.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's really exciting. So we just have a couple last minute, I think, and I just want to say the idea for women creators to have the opportunity to make new revenue streams, to create opportunities for more empathy and social connection, and work together to solve larger solutions seems like something that we all in the space are really geared towards. I can't imagine that AI could do anything other than ultimately make a better world for all of us, and especially for women around the world. So I want to thank each of you for sharing your ideas and what you're working on, and your voices are critical in the stories that we're sharing today and in the future. And by doing so, we're really giving voice to those in the past and through history who have not had that voice. So thank you, creators, investors, and AI for bringing us together with women of the future.